Hey y'all, this is Cindy. I'm the Tireless Tangler, and you've arrived at day 80. Can you believe it? Day 80 of the 100 Days of Zentangle Project 2019. Thank you all for being with me today. Our tangle today is Arukas. It's a Zentangle original pattern. It's by Molly Hollibaugh, who is Maria Thomas's daughter. Maria Thomas and Rick Roberts are the founders of the Zentangle Method. And Arukas is is orbs and straight lines, basically, orbs and auras. And there is a video out on Arukas by Molly herself where she draws it on an ATC card, which is an artist trading card. And so it's a little bit smaller than this, about probably like so. And so she does it with multiple orbs, and I've never tried Arukas with that, so we're going to give this a try, see how it goes. I think if I can make my orbs large enough, and I can keep the lines shorter, and I might do better with that. So I'm going to sort of steal some inspiration, from Molly, and sort of copy here the idea of what she was doing in the ATC. So you want to start with some orbs, and I think I'll do one off to the side here as she did in her video. And this is where we're at, okay? So that's your first step, and you can do this with one or you can do this with several. It's up to you entirely. So now what we're going to do is we're going to draw a double line, and an aura line in radiating sort of spokes out from these orbs in the middle. And I don't call them circles because circles should be perfect, and orbs leave room for little embellishments that I like to add. So so let's start by putting in some of these spokes, and for this particular pattern, it's kind of a good idea to go in orders. All right, so you want to do little spokes and then aura them. And you can make these a tiny bit thicker or wider if you like, but that's about right. It's pretty good for this. So then you just want to continue. Oops. And I think Molly says from 4 to 6 little radiating spokes out. And then this, we're going to make this spoke join up here with this. And the reason I knew this was going to be a tough one for me is the straight lines, of course. You know, straight and me do not get along. So let me think about this. Let's put another one out here. And I have a bad problem with my aura lines sort of spreading as I go out, so I'm going to try to watch that for myself. And I think, as Molly did in her video, I'm going to join these. Can't decide which way to aura that. I think I'll do this. Now, Molly's lines are nice and straight, mine are not. But that's okay. It's still going to be cool, as we say. So once you do your first orb, then move on to an adjacent one. Just adding in your double lines in straight shot out as in spokes on a bicycle wheel. So here I have another one of those situations where I'm going to want to join these two. I'm not going to draw behind on this pattern, and that's okay. That's an extra level of thinking that that I can do without today. Thank you guys so much, by the way, for dealing with my ramblings yesterday. I was on a roll for some reason, and I just could not keep my head in the game. So I appreciate your patience with me. Okay, here's another spot where I'm going to want to join these. And that is cool. All right, so now we're going to join these two. And it's nice if these are evenly spaced, but they don't have to be. I want you guys to feel free to experiment and try new things. Add color if you want. Try some tangle enhancers, let's see, line weight, sparkling, that kind of thing. But let's get through this and see how we did. All right, so this is what I have so far, and this is Arukas. Now, we're going to start some auras, and we're going to alternate what we're doing. So I believe that I started my little journey, I don't remember, but pick a place. This is the time when you're going to want to go in order so you don't get lost. So I think because it's easily recognizable for me, I think I'm going to start down here. So now we're going to add aura lines between the spokes, okay? It's going to be approximately the same width as your spokes. All the way around, add an aura. And then once that's done, I want you to change and go to the next one and do that same aura all the way around, and then to the next one. And this is the process. We're going to be changing back and forth. And if we don't go in order, then when we run around, if we did this one out, then these aren't going to work right. So anyway, trust me, it's easier if you just alternate or go in order. And then everything is set up correctly for you. Okay, so this isn't hard, right? And the result we get in the end is going to be very cool. And how simple is this? And how zenful is it to sit and just draw alternating lines? Okay, so I think from here I'm going to hit the middle. And add some of my very special curly auras. It's actually nice to be able to work on a tile instead of my sketch pad because I can turn that so nicely. Oops. Try to be aware of where you stop and start so that you've got some continuity. Like that, okay? And you can see, not perfect, shaky lines and all, but it's gonna work. So back, starting here. Now we're going to aura our spokes, okay? And if we hadn't gone all the way around on this aura here would not work right on both sides. So we're going to aura each side of each of these spokes. Okay. Okay, do the last one. And now move on to the next one we did. So I think that was here. Oh, whoops, wrong thing, Cindy. We are aura-ing these lines. Or auraing them. I know that everyone says aura, but when I say the AU, I just want to awe that. So thank you guys for dealing with my eccentricities and my quirks, because I have a lot of them, and as I tell the kids, I'm weird, and I embrace my weirdness, and I appreciate it, because that makes me not a boring person. So at least that's my line, and I'm going with it. I didn't mean the things that I said yesterday about posting your art, finishing your art, being brave and courageous with it. So hard to do and so important. Such a pivotal point on your artist walk. So be brave, guys. Be courageous. Now maybe you're starting to see why it kind of is a big deal to go in order here. These two are going to run into each other. Oh, starting to look interesting. Like I said, I really struggle to not let my lines get wide at the ends. And remember, it's okay if your lines are off. What you want is consistency, not perfection. Since perfection is impossible to achieve, we should not stop trying for perfection, but we should also understand that it's okay to be not perfect, because that is the human experience. So, enough preaching. Now, next step is to, did I get them all? I did. Okay, the next step is to repeat our aura here. And again, that's right, this is why it's important to go in order on this. Okay, and down here. Okay, now moving on to the next. Okay, and this one next. All right, again, now we're going to shift over, and again are the spokes. Okay, now let's continuing. And again, this going in order helps you not to lose, helps you not to lose your place as well. It starts to, you get, this pattern gets very line happy, and it can easily get confusing as to where you're at. And once again, we're just adding an arid line to each side of our spokes. And my lines, you can tell, are just not perfect, but that's okay. I don't need them to be perfect today. It's okay. They're, whoops. That wasn't okay. But it's okay if they're not perfect. Strive for perfection, but don't depend on it. All right. And the further we go, the more you'll see why the order thing is a good idea. All right, now these are about to touch over here. So on our next pass, we will have something different to do. These lines are all we're going to continue to do this process until these lines are all full and converged. You cannot add the auras anymore. And you certainly can do this tangle in stages, meaning that if you want to stop at this stage or something, that's okay. Now, let's see if I got them all. Did we do this one? Yep, I think we did. Okay. Now, starting again at the beginning.
That looks awesome.
Thank you, Coda. You're awesome, too. Mm-hmm. All right. So again, I have aura'd around now, and this is how this tangle is done. You alternate between aura'ing your circle, your orbs, and then you aura your lines, your spoke lines, and that's basically it. Switching back and forth until it gets so full that you can't do anymore. And you want to continue to do this down to a point because you're going to get a really cool sort of star-like effect when we get done. So we'll see how this turns out. I am going to trust this pattern to do what it's supposed to do, and I am just going to relax and focus on my lines and follow the step outs. Step out and just take my time. Cindy, don't get in a rush, Cindy. And that's where we find our Zen flow, if you will. That time where your mind can shut down, your body relaxes, and you just start breathing with your strokes. The Zentangle tagline is anything is possible, one stroke at a time. And that is such a beautiful thing, because that is right. Every stroke of the pen, focus on just that little section. Breathe when you start into it. We're back to the line aura'ing, or aura'ing. Okay. My space right here is getting very thin, and that's cool, because that's what's about to give us a very neat effect here. Okay, I did this one, yep. All right, now let's move on to this one. Try and do a nice job, better than I, of course, of taking your time when you start and stop so that you don't have little messes like I've got here. Sometimes I put my pen down and it just jerks. So sometimes I think God is messing with me. And I know God has a sense of humor. He would have to survive. And there. starting to get good over here. Now, in this situation where you come up against something else, just do it and leave it and don't worry, because it's all going to work out in the end. Okay. All right, I finished this one, so now let's do the spokes on this. And so when you come to these spots, just alternate it out, and this is the exact reason why we go in order here, so that these, when they come together, also have a cool effect. Okay, I did this one, so this one. Oops. Okay, I'm back at the start. So this needs to be an R line going this way. And in these sections where they get smaller is where you're going to get your star effect. Okay, and this process is going to speed up because your lines are going to get shorter, and that'll make it faster. Oops. Okay. Just tuck the small ones in there nicely. Coda is hovering here.
Looks like Iron Man beams. You're doing a good job.
Got a thumbs up from the kid. Awesome thumbs up, baby.
Be sure to like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe, the kids say. Okay, now for this one. Now, I have not done a good job of keeping my spacing uniform, and that's okay. But if you guys do a better job, you might like the results better. Whoops, that's been done. Well, that's the second time I drew through that, isn't it? That's not good. I think the white jelly roll may make an appearance today. I might just speed this up for you guys. Now, shading can be, I don't know if I think this is problematic or just fun. Let's find out. Let's put some shading on there and see how it turns out. All right, using again my Staedtler Mars F pencil. I don't think you can see that anymore, but it's a good pencil. All right, let's see. Coda is right in that this is a perfect pattern for color if you like that, look. I think I'm going to stick with black and white simply for time today, but for shading, try adding a little graphite along these columns here. And it's going to enhance the natural look. Now you can be precise and go in here and really spend some time shading the individual elements, and you will get a very cool effect. But if you're working on a tile, it's usually a very small thing, and this kind of work is, it's a lot. So you decide how important what you're doing is and how much time you want to spend on it. And, you know, let me know what you guys come up with. Don't forget to tag me at the Tireless Tangler on Instagram or Facebook. Love to see your art. A lot of you guys do that for me, and I appreciate it, because I am so inspired and so moved sometimes when you guys create beautiful things out of, especially from my tutorials. It's just, that's kind of a perk for me, I think. I know I love seeing my Celtic knots out there that you guys have done. Some of you guys are way better at those than I am. And that is also okay. I don't have to be the best at everything. Although that's certainly what my inner critic tells me. I just want to be happy and left alone. That's all I want. So leave me alone. And even my sloppy job here of putting down graphite is still working for this pattern. It accentuates your star shapes, right? And I'll be interested to see what you guys think of this pattern. It's not my favorite because of the straight lines that it requires, but I've always had it work really well for me. Even though it doesn't turn out the way I would like, it's not bad at all. So give it a shot. And I think what I'm going to do with these is do a little, I don't know, orb shading maybe. These would make very nice gems. I might consider that, but not right now. Y'all have had enough for today. And so you could shade one side really darkly close to the edge, put a little bit of nice graphite in the middle, leave you a nice little highlight, leave your little reflected light thing around the edge, blah, blah, blah. And that would work too. So you can really do anything in those orbs that you would like. But just by adding a tiny bit of graphite around the edges here, you get a really cool 3D effect. Yeah. And again, you can be careful with your shading and do all the little nooks and crannies if you'd like. It's okay. Once again, I encourage you guys to watch Molly's video. Nobody does it better than Molly. So check her out. Just in search, just do Arukas, which is Sakura spelled backwards. She was talking to her friend from Sakura when she came up with this pattern, and so she decided to name it Arukas because it was Sakura backwards. It was kind of a cool fact. And I may actually get in there with my Inktense pencils and put a couple of gems in this. This would make a very nice tile with gems in it, I think. And I'm not sure I've ever done Arukas with a gem, so, which is amazing, isn't it? Considering that it's round and all. Did I get it all mostly? Maybe? Whoops. Down here. And even this little bit sets this off so nicely. Forgot to lay graphite on that one. But I certainly did remember it here in a messy way. There are much better techniques for shading than I am using here. Please, please do a nice lesson and learn shading from someone else. This is not my forte. Thank you, Amelia, for the work that you did looking that up. That was kind of cool. So, and I learned a lot by that discussion that we had. The reason that we tend to say forte is because that is how the Italian word spelled in that F-O-R-T-E is pronounced, and in Italian that means loud. It's a musical term. But then there is, in what other language? Anyway, there's, look it up and read about that, and it's very interesting. Anyway, all right, this is Arukas. What do you think? So you know why I struggle with it, and before I post this, I'm going to take my white jelly roll and go and snip all those lines that were in the wrong place, and probably do another shading run and all that, and maybe add some color. But this is our pattern for today, Arukas. I'm a little bit scared of putting this in the pattern, in our 100-day project pattern, but we're going to do it anyway and see what happens. I think I'm going to stick with a single Arukas in this. I've lost my pen. Oh, there it is. Okay. I'm going to do a single Arukas because I don't think I will have room for all of the extracurricular stuff. So, and I'm going to choose something. I'm going to choose one of these smaller ones. The only one I have left. And I'm going to set my circle, or in this case, partial circle, in this way. And then I'm going to start my radiating lines here. Put that one in the corner. Okay. And put one more right there. Okay. All right. Next step is to aura the orb. Okay. Repeat aura-ing your lines on each side on the radiating ones. That wasn't the best one, but that's okay. When I say that's okay a bunch, that's always a bad sign. All right. Okay, now one more aura on the orb. That's over. And then All right, let's repeat the radiating auras. Oops. Well, we're gonna find out. And okay, and don't know if I should have done that way. But again, we're going to go with it. That's really not very good, is it? I may put a gem in there because we need something to balance out the little spots of color on the other side. So, whoops, there it is. But this, I want to put another line in here. And probably no one will notice. Okay. All right. Shading on this one is going to go very quickly. There's not much here to work with, which is fine. Okay, again, still not my favorite. This is a Prismacolor in Copenhagen blue, and I'm just going to try to put a little tiny bit of color in here. I'm not going to use much. I'm going to leave most of this front part for a highlight. And I'm going to use my blending solution. And right now I am using something called Gamsol, which is the American version of odorless mineral solutions. And you guys can find that on Amazon. If I can remember, I will try to put a link in the description for it. This is odorless mineral solution. I don't know if I can give you a picture of this. It looks like this. Okay. Now I'm going to use a tortillon that has a clean end, fairly clean, or something I've used color with. I don't know. But I'm going to just simply dip the tip into the jar. A lot of people leave theirs in little jars with cotton balls and stuff. This works really well, and so I don't see any reason to get all fancy, but that's just me. And look at what this stuff does for the color. This is not one of my more vibrant pencils, but when you use the solution on the tip of a tortillon to sort of blend this in, it dissolves what happens is it dissolves the binding agent in the pencil. And in Prismacolor pencils, the binding agent is a wax. And in polychromos pencils, the binding agent is an oil. It's oil-based. And so try them both out, see what you think. You know, if you want, get a small set of each. Now, using this mineral solution, a tip for you is to remember that the tip of this tortillon will pick up, I don't know if you can see in this light. Let's see if I can adjust that a little bit for the light. I don't know if you can see, but this picks up the pigment on the tip of this with the mineral solution. And so you want to be careful, but you can use it to blend all of this out to a really smooth, pretty finish, like this, okay? Now that's not a lot of color, and it's not a very vibrant color, and if I'd had the right pencil, and I may still add something else to that, but for now, that's the idea I'm going to leave. And I probably will put, after I'm done shading this, I probably will put a little white bit of jelly roll on here in order to sort of enhance that. But I probably will come in with another color pencil and sort of give that some more definition around the edge here, where it's looks like it's going to be darker. And then I see another spot that needs to be sort of blended. Okay, so this is Arukas. This is definitely not going to be one of my favorite squares, but that's okay. And I've got to stop calling these squares because, let's face it, they're not square. But that is Arukas for day 88, or for day, wow. All right, that's Arukas for day 80. And even though I'm not excited about that portion, that section, I am excited about the entire project. So I will see you guys tomorrow for day 81. Coda, what do you say?
Like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe.
Don't forget to like and subscribe.
There's my baby. All right, guys, I will see you tomorrow.